What's up, guys? Happy Saturday. It's February 1st. We got through January. A lot happened in a month. Hopefully, you guys had fun watching NBA DFS strategy with us. Sorry, I had the volume playback. But Chuck and Jayhawk here. We got a pretty nice slate. I know we had some early games. Hopefully, you guys made some good lineups for those. Jayhawk, how are we feeling about today's main?
Yeah, man. Very fun slate tonight. We were just talking pre-stream, looking or happy to get away from not having Lonzo Ball on the slate tonight. So excited to break this down. Got tons of plays all over. So yeah, let's break this down.
We have a couple. So I really hate how underdogs doing the injury stuff because they gave us like all the news for tomorrow already. So just be careful. You're not mixing it up. But I think the big ones today, Julius Randle's already out, and Anthony Edwards got a late Q tag with illness. So we're going to do some if thens if he ends up sitting. Rob Williams was a late Q tag, doesn't affect that much. And then Russell Westbrook, he played terribly yesterday, but he got hurt. Him and Peyton Watson are out. And then Jalen Williams is out for OKC, the all star Jalen Williams. So we'll take a look at that. And Josh Hart's questionable again. Okogie's out for 3 weeks, if that matters. And Caleb Martin's still out for them. Or Cody Martin, whichever one's on Charlotte.
Yeah, I think Cody.
Jerry, are we trying Gordon again? Assuming that's Aaron Gordon. Jayhawk and I were talking about this before the show. Because Naz Reid's going to be one of the top plays today, and Model likes Aaron Gordon more than anyone. So we'll take a look at that. He played big minutes yesterday. That's the thing. He actually played more than we had projected for him. He just didn't do anything.
Yeah, great matchup once again tonight for AG too.
Yeah, 12-point spread is not that bad against Charlotte, so that's a spot that we're going to take a good look at. Heath, Zevin, Barry, Unicorn, Savage, Lewis, occupy the win. Yep. Sleeper of the night, Jovel. Nobody will use him because of the last two games. Well, is Washington on Where's Jovel? The model's telling us we don't have to play him today, dude. What do we do?
Yeah, man. It's definitely a tougher matchup here, but if he's going to be lower owned, I don't hate it. Projected for 21 minutes, still a good producer. I just think my main concern is just potential minutes here. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I see 1 to 3% of a guy that we played like 50 of 2 slates in a row that completely burned everyone. Keep in mind, the Wizards are terrible. I'm going to talk about what we want to do with the Wizards players when we get to them, but yeah, it's a decent tournament shout. Big J Grams, Amari, let's take some down. Who do we think sits or plays from Minnesota? We'll get to that one. Aaron Gordon. The thing is, he's on the court, so he's not even done. He's just running around. And Courtney, one of our Discord mainstays. So we've been having some good success. Almost took down the pick and roll last night. Got a bunch of tickets. Enter the ticket contest over on FanDuel. I'll just say that. But let's go ahead and start with this first game, Denver-Charlotte. Let's talk about Denver first. So Aaron Gordon back in the starting lineup. I imagine Christian Brown starts. Do you think the same?
I thought he came off the bench last game. Am I
Well,
wrong?
Russell Westbrook's out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he should start then. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, just sorting by value, Christian Brown does look good, and model has him for 34 minutes. So, yeah, we think he's starting. Michael Porter, 8.9 OF index. I don't get this 5,400 price. 18%. I mean, I guess all these guys are kind of pulling ownership. So, who are you getting to the most here? And we're actually seeing Jokic with some heavy ownership.
Yeah. So besides AG, who we already previously touched on here, I think obviously Jokic up top, fantastic. Spend up, great matchup here. And then I like the MPJ shout. 5,400 seems way too cheap on DraftKings. So have a decent chunk of MPJ. And then I'm fine with Christian Brown. I don't love the price point, but great matchup for him to get steals and put up points here. So like all these guys in general.
My thing with Christian Brown, so I get the lineup construction slightly different on FanDuel. I don't think he should be higher owned on FanDuel, though. The 4,700 price is better. And he's kind of priced to be coming off the bench. If he was priced to be starting, he'd probably be 5,400 on DraftKings, maybe a little bit more over on FanDuel. So I think he's a solid play. The model likes him. He's kind of a pivot off of Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr., but I think it's okay to play two of these guys. Their prices are just kind of incorrect right now.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
I was looking at Julian Strother at 3,100. Model thinks he's okay value. I'd like to see this a little bit higher since he's so cheap, but for 24 minutes, I think the 24 minutes is a little bit high. Kind of tried to look at the rotation a little while ago, and he has a potential to get there with Russell out today, but I think that a lot of Strother is kind of going to depend on blowout run, and in a 12-point spread, I don't want to project a blowout. So what do you think?
Yeah, I was just going to mention that if you're playing more towards a blowout, I think Strother would be the play. But assuming this game stays close, I do prefer the starters here.
Yeah, and I'll mention lastly Jamal Murray. Model was super into him yesterday. Model likes him again today. 7,500 on DK is a good price. Pretty happy to see this ownership. Was kind of worried that the field would chase, but the model's been identifying Jamal Murray like this was the tournament winner yesterday. He might have been the high scorer. Maybe it was Wemby, but yeah, model likes him 10.5. Just eyeballing this, I don't think this is as high as it was yesterday. I think this was slightly higher. So maybe for some reason it doesn't love the Charlotte matchup as much. But projected for 37 minutes, it's only a 12-point spread. I think Jamal Murray is a pretty great play. So I'm basically getting to 6 players here, including Julian Strother.
Yep, agreed. And shout out to Jamal. He ship you the 4th place yesterday. So
shipped me the 4th place. Yeah, he did. He did his job, man. Other guys didn't, but yeah, I mean, he was awesome. Russell had a really bad game, and he did leave early, but Jamal basically got there by halftime. So, and I did talk about yesterday a little bit how I think Russell Westbrook really elevates his teammates, makes them better for fantasy. So maybe that has something to do with why Jamal is slightly lower today, but that's something to keep in mind. I thought these guys were better without Russ, or with Russ. I'm sorry, with Russ in the starting lineup.
Yeah, he's definitely a big piece for them.
Do we like Minnesota against Washington? Yeah, we're gonna have to. You're Strother? Are you Strother, dude? This whole time you didn't tell us. Shouldn't
Burner.
you be warming up for your game or something? Charles Moran, what up?
Was
I
good.
like your name. Isaiah Joe and Kason Wallace will be the nuts today. I think Jayhawk, you mentioned something about Isaiah Joe before the stream.
Yeah, man, love Isaiah Joe today,
Yeah.
especially if he starts, man. Yeah, love him.
Russ killed you last night, dude. The number of lineups I had that Lonzo or Russ killed last night makes me want to throw up. What's the best way to read the model? Great question. Really glad you asked. I was talking about this with the boys yesterday. So what the model's been really excelling at recently is telling us which chalk to fade, meaning like Naz Reid is the chalk of the day. He's the 6th best value on DraftKings. This isn't necessarily a fade spot. He's still projecting out really well for 31 minutes, but maybe like let me find someone down here. Maybe there's not, like Keldon is an okay example today where he's chalky. He had a really good game yesterday, shot really well. He's cheap, but the value score, it's down here, and so at 3,800, we have some pivots that the model likes more. Julian Strother, Haywood Highsmith, Rob Dillingham, one of my favorite plays today, regardless of Ant-Man sits. This is assuming Conley's out. If Conley's out, Rob Dillingham is really, really good today. But like Luka Garza's showing way up here. So the way that I would do it is I would try to get away from these type of guys and then try and mix in these other pivots. And then as for like the bulk of my lineup, where the model's been shining is identifying these pay ups with a really good OF index and really good value. So Naz Reid, he's probably the best play on the slate today. SGA, no Jalen Williams, really, really good value score for as expensive as he is. Really good OF index, highest of the day. Like Fox is showing up as a top play. DeMar, Devin Vassell, Malik Monk. So I think that's the way that I would do it. Sort by value and see who shows up with the highest OF indexes near the top, and then look at which chalk you can kind of get away from that the model's lower on. What do you want to add on to that, Jayhawk?
I was just going to say, combine that with the ownership. So if they're low DK value, high ownership, typically might want to be off that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. There were some really good examples on yesterday's model. Meant to keep that open, I forgot, but hope that helps. Avdia or Monk on FanDuel. I think I had Monk in my dummy lineup. His price was a little bit too good. Maybe that was on DK though. We'll take a look. Let's talk.
I would lean Monk too for sure.
It's just his ceiling is so good. I mean, Denny's is there too. But let's talk about Charlotte. Mark Williams off the injury report, 4% owned on DK. His price is up there, 8,400. This is probably the correct price. I imagine he'll have to play close to this 31 minutes to keep up with Jokic, 7,500 on FanDuel. 22% is probably a little bit too high, though. So maybe find a nice middle in there. Kind of the same thing with Miles Bridges, although 8,800 is a hefty price to pay. What else were you looking at on Charlotte?
Yes, I think you nailed it. Mark Williams, even at 4% on DraftKings, he's definitely up there, but can probably have to play the minutes here with Jokic. So like him at 4%. And then Kenneth Simpson, I assume that's KJ Simpson. Pulling up some steam here. How do you feel about KJ Simpson here?
Let me see. Not getting there. There's a lot of good value on today's slate. I don't think we have to take long shots like KJ Simpson because Micic, like I don't think we have to play Micic, but I don't think we have to find the pivot in KJ here. And the model's not into it. I mean, you see on any given day, you got to look at the values relative. Like, today above 14 DK value is probably elite. And anytime you see a 10 DK value on a guy that only costs 3,400, especially if he's pulling this much ownership, this is a pretty good example. Like he's not super chalky, but I think you can just cross him out of your player pool today.
Yeah, especially like 14% and 22% seems pretty high for him.
Yeah, maybe Xing him out is a little extreme, but I don't think you really want to ever play 14% and 22% of KJ Simpson. Like, yeah, he could have a good game, but it's not worth this much ownership. If you want to play him, mix him in a little bit less than that.
Yep.
The only player I'm really getting exposure to from this team on DraftKings is Mark Williams, and then over on FanDuel, I'm getting exposure to, I guess Miles Bridges is the main other one. I'm getting a few percent of Josh Green and Nick Smith, but I'm trying to think if I even want to keep that because model's kind of telling us I don't have to play either of them either. I might just cross them out, dude.
Dude, Nick Smith has been really bad the past few games. Yeah, I'm not really getting there either.
Yeah, for like a week there, he was looking like the most secure minutes on the team with all the injuries, but now, no.
Yeah.
So my problem with it is that I'm interested in these Denver players and 12-point spread. Someone on Charlotte has to kind of keep it close, and it's not just going to be Mark Williams and Miles Bridges by themselves. And so I might take a look, but I don't know. I might just end up with these two in my exposures, but maybe a couple percent of someone else I won't hate. Like Josh Green played big minutes yesterday. He's been awful, but I mean the ownership is fine.
Yeah, I'm not really a huge Green fan. I just don't think he's the best producer for DFS, but he's fine if you want to mix him in.
It's just how many minutes did he play? 37. He played 37 minutes yesterday. Granted, it's a back to back. Maybe he doesn't play 37 again, but how do you only take 4 shots in 37 minutes, dude? It's not going to get it done.
No.
I will say you're probably not getting that many minutes for less dollars from anyone else on the slate, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Next game, let's start with the Washington side of this Washington-Minnesota game. 13-point spread, Minnesota's heavy favorites. We do have Ant-Man as a late questionable. I'm going to think he sits, but we'll assume he's in, and then Randall's out. So maybe Washington can keep this close. I think when I was looking last night, it was a 17-point spread. So this got much closer. I mean, what do we do with Washington these days? What's our interest level? We already kind of talked about Jovel a little bit.
Yeah, so I think it probably starts with Kuzma and Poole here. I think I kind of lean Poole today. I think he's most likely to keep it close here. So at 3% and 2%, I don't hate him as like a potential run back here to these Minnesota guys. After Poole though, like it's difficult, man. I feel like we've been up and down on Kuzma for most of the year. He's fine. I think I'd rather get to Poole though. What are your thoughts here with Washington?
I've always been down to get to Jordan Poole when he's low owned, so I'm over this 3% and 2%, not by much. I don't have more than 6% of anyone on this team, and it's basically like 5% Poole, 6% Jovel. I'm done playing Keyshawn George. I think he wastes ownership every day. He's only 1% owned though, so if you do get to Keyshawn George on a day like today, I don't hate it, I guess. And then Kuzma, projected for 28 minutes, 0% owned. It's insane.
Got to play 1%, right? At least.
I literally have 2% on FanDuel right now, so Actually 1 out of 150 on DraftKings. So on DK, I don't have more than 1% of anyone here. Yeah, it's tough because we're interested in Minnesota, and it's like Rob Dillingham's probably going to be my favorite play, assuming Conley's out. Love Gobert, love Naz Reid. Um, Gotta think. I mean, for Dillingham, it doesn't matter if the game stays close or not, but for the other guys, we probably want the game to not be a complete blowout, right? And so,
Yeah,
if we are playing someone from this side, I don't know that we want to play more than one Washington player in our lineups right now. It's just really tough. They're all really cheap, but the minutes are not there, and this team is just like really bad.
it's very bad. I would probably say if I had to pick one, it would be Poole here.
Yeah, and I don't think you have to run it back, even if you're playing 2, 3 Minnesota players, because their prices are kind of incorrect. Naz Reid's incorrectly priced for Julius Randle to be out. Like if Mike Conley's out, then Rob Dillingham's way like his price is way wrong because he's actually really good in the NBA. And then even like Jaden McDaniels if Ant Man sits. But what thoughts do you have on Minnesota?
Yeah, I think they look awesome here. You mentioned it. Naz Reid and Rudy Gobert, probably my two favorite at the moment here. Washington just really bad defensively in the post, bad everywhere, but love those two. And then yeah, Anthony Edwards does sit here. Dillingham already looks really good. I think he'd look even better. Yeah, and you mentioned McDaniels. I think he'd get a bump as well. So probably my favorite team to target here with Minnesota.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to play some players from this team. Hold on, I was just looking at something. I just saw a comment. KJ Simpson smashed yesterday. He had 9 points and 5 assists with a steal and a rebound. If that's what we're hoping for, it's not the guy that I want to play. Going with the Nas combo heavy today. I like I want to see what that ownership comes in at because right now we're projecting Rob Dillingham for more ownership, and he crushed last game. Had a good game too, but Rob Dillingham was the tournament winner for sure. 32 fantasy points in 23 minutes, basically the min price. 8 assists. Shout out to the rookie. But
Dude, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's mostly if Conley's out. If Conley's in, I don't think Rob Dillingham took away minutes from Na yet, but it's possible. But if Conley's out, then yeah, fire both of these guys up, and then especially if Ant's out, pretty much just fire everyone who's listed on here out. And Luka Garza is a pretty interesting deep shot. It's unfortunate he's only center, but his ownership's low. He's very cheap, and we know that he's a really good fantasy producer when he gets minutes.
Yeah, do you kind of compare Garza kind of to Paul Reed of yesterday?
I think Garza is better than Paul Reed. So Paul Reed used to be the guy that we were clamoring to play when he was projected to play 12 minutes, and now he's not B-ball Paul anymore. But I mean, look at Garza. He played 14 minutes, put up 24 fantasy points, 16 fantasy points in 8 minutes, and so I guess it's not listed here, but we know he had good games when we've had spots like this last year. We haven't projected for 15 minutes. I mean, blowout would certainly help him. Maybe he gets a few more minutes than 15, but at 15 minutes, the model thinks he's a good play. So this is model approved value. And if he ends up playing like 18, 19, then it's just a smash at this ownership.
Yep, and just one more thing to add on to that. Would you set a rule with Gobert and Garza to max one? I think no. You would play both.
No, well, I mean, I get not playing them together,
Yeah,
but I don't think I'll have enough exposure for that to be a problem. But I get that. Yeah, I probably wouldn't want them in the same lineup. Well, I'm wondering if they'll do a three because they have that 3-man rotation. Figure 96 minutes power forward center for Naz Reid, Rudy Gobert, and Julius Randle. I don't think they can just split that up 3 ways now. Some of those minutes are going to have to go to Jaden McDaniels now. Or maybe Garza just plays way more minutes. Naz Reid just plays way more minutes because this doesn't seem like enough.
yeah. I was about to mention that too. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of minutes to go around.
Yeah, so either way, I think the the main point to take away here is we like Minnesota way better if Conley and Anthony Edwards sit. It's just going to be such a good source of value. And is this the first game? It's the second game, so we won't know at lock. But there's a lot of good plays in the first 2 games. We talk about saving some spots for later. Yeah, we want to save some spots for later today, but don't skip out on the good plays in the first 2 games because we know that they're real. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is probably Minnesota's probably the best team overall to target to.
LeBron playing in MSG tonight. LeBron's going to have a tough time tonight. San Antonio versus Miami. Yeah, there's going to be some good plays there. Let's see, would I stack SGA and Sabonis? We have the value to do it. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely viable. I think a lot of the field's going to get up to Jokic. So if you're doing something like that, playing SGA and Sabonis, because I'm sure people are going to try to jam in SGA and Jokic, Sabonis and Jokic, and I think there's enough cheap value to make it work, however gross it might look. But doing anything else, like stacking anybody else, is going to be probably great tonight.
Yep, I like that combo.
McDaniels will play well. The thing is, his minutes are just so good. Like 34, I think he plays more than 34 minutes tonight, and his price is really cheap. He's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, he may play close to 40 here if Ant Edwards hits too.
Denver on a back to back. I'd be more worried about Aaron Gordon, but if we don't get any word of a minutes limit, like he's been back for a couple weeks now, it's not like he's just easing back into it in the first couple games. Wouldn't really be worried about Joker on a back to back.
Yeah, I'm not like I think AG would be the one concern, but Jokic and Murray, I think they're both on.
What do we do if we wait for late swap, but Conley and Edwards are in? Um, so the way I'm gonna build, I am gonna cross Ant Edwards out since he was a late Q tag. He's not gonna sit 100% of the time, but I think more often than not he ends up sitting. I'm gonna bump up Dillingham, basically everyone else on this team. If Anthony Edwards and Conley end up in, I mean, there's a couple players on the Lakers at similar prices. A couple guys, maybe one guy on the Spurs actually, a guy or two on Portland. Brooklyn to swap to. I mean, we have every other team to swap to. Beside, we're just missing out on Charlotte and Denver, so it's fine. Like you're not getting that big of an advantage by doing it. You're not going to lose that much by being wrong about doing it either. So, actually, not as big of a deal as I thought it was.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna play mostly the Minnesota guys, but there's definitely room to late swap for sure.
All right, next game, Brooklyn Rockets. We do have a blowout spread here, 15 points. It's about our cutoff. D'Angelo, 6,500. No one wants to play him. I think he's a great GPP play, very risky. Model saying he's whatever, but OF Index at that price is pretty good. Would like to see a higher value. Nick Claxton was a tournament winner last time at no ownership. No one's playing him again today. If Brooklyn manages to stay close, I would think these are the two main players to do it, and then maybe some of these role players help out too. Did you have any interest in Brooklyn today?
For me, it was pretty much just D'Lo. I think he's fine. He's pretty good price on DraftKings. Don't love the matchup here, but he'd probably be the one to keep it closer. So like D'Lo, like you mentioned, but other than that, not getting to too much Brooklyn here.
Yeah, this is another team where if the slate started right now, I wouldn't have more than 3% exposure to anyone here. And so I guess they're just kind of GPP plays. I think there's probably better value on every other team, and no one here stands out for value. For FanDuel value, Nick Claxton is right on the cusp. So 5,600 at 1%. I think that's worth taking some shots on. If you don't play anyone else from here, it's probably okay.
Yeah, just a tough spot, I think, overall here for Brooklyn.
Houston, though, we have some guys we're interested in. Let's take a look. So Sengun is Q. Did you see an update on him?
I think his plan is just to go through shoot around, but let me double check that.
I don't see anything here. He got ruled out late last time. We saw Steven Adams start, put up a great game. Jock Landale. I thought he was a pretty good pivot, and in the first half, it looked like it was going to work out playing both of them. But no, it was Steven Adams' show. So if Sengun is out, Steven Adams is probably going to be one of the better center plays today. He's up to 3,800 on DraftKings, which is okay. The 4,800 on FanDuel. Yeah, we have to make some decisions. But if he starts, let's return to the model and see what minutes we have projected for him. So I talked about the low end. What do you like at the top end?
Yeah, so assuming well, kind of disregarding some goon status here, I think Green and Eamon, particularly Eamon, 8,500 seems like a lot, but we've mentioned this stream after stream. He just keeps crushing. So love getting to Eamon at his ownership once again, and then Jalen Green always in playing tournaments. But I think I would prefer Eamon here if I'm getting to one.
This is the least amount of Amon Thompson that I've played in like a month. Barely over this 4 and 7%. So not getting there much. It's just the price is up, and I will mention we do have the value to get there if this game stays close. Maybe Amon can be a tournament winner. I mean, Sengun at 1% is always interesting, but not super appealing today. And then, like you mentioned, Jalen Green every day, double digit OF index, top value on the team, 72, 7,100 at 4 or 5%. This is a strong GPP play. I think we want to be over on it. He's going to lose minutes to a blowout, obviously, but at these ownerships, I think we can take some shots here. And then I'll mention Tari Eason too. I don't know how much he really would benefit from a blowout, but if he ends up finishing the game like he has in the past, this could be a phenomenal spot at 2 and 4% owned.
Yep, like the Tari Eason shout. And then I did want to ask, are you getting to any Dylan Brooks tonight for Eason?
Dang. I have 4% on FanDuel if the slate started right now. It's pretty disappointing. Not getting there much. Model approved value, though. These guys are slightly better on FanDuel. Jalen Green, FVV, Dylan Brooks all look fine. The other guys are a little bit on the outside looking in. I was looking at Cam Whitmore. He's had a few really, really bad games in a row, but at 3 and 2%, I think he's an okay value pivot if you're playing 150 lineups today.
Yep, agreed there as well.
Next game, let's start with OKC. So Jalen Williams, congratulations, you're an all-star. He's not playing today, and so this is probably the team that I'm currently most exposed to. Have a ton of SGA and a bunch of basically all the value guys. So yeah, what do you think about SGA and everybody else, I guess?
Yeah, I think first of all, I think SGA probably my favorite spend up overall here, maybe behind Jokic. I think SGA and Jokic kind of 1A, 1B for me. But I think he looks great. And then in terms of the value guys, I think my favorite is probably Wiggins. That would probably change if he doesn't start. But either way, I think Wiggins and Isaiah Joe, two of the better value plays. And then after that, kind of just mixing in everyone else. Did you have a different take here?
Not necessarily, no. SGA right now is the guy I'm most exposed to. I think this is more a consequence of us just having infinite value today, that it's really easy to play him. And I'm trying to even see if I have lineups. Like, I have lineups with him and Jokic and one other stud-ish player over on FanDuel. So just kind of insane what you can do with lineup construction today. 42 and 44%. Like, that is a lot of ownership. I mean, Jalen Williams is out, so that's good for SGA, but I don't know. We have a lot of salary to play with, so I understand why everyone's paying up for him. I have a ton. The next guys up for me are Aaron Wiggins and Kason Wallace. A little below them, Lou Dort, and then Isaiah Joe. And then I'm getting like 10% of Isaiah Hartenstein, but he's probably the player that I like the least from here, and the model agrees. Look at the value score compared to everybody else here. But I mean, Jayhawk, how do we really tell the difference between these three? We've had this problem all season. Isaiah Joe, Lou Dort, Kason Wallace, they all look really good. It's kind of just flipping a three-sided coin.
Yeah, so it kind of leans from slate to slate, but I think in like this matchup in particular, I kind of do lean Joe and Wallace. Lou Dort, I think he's still fine, but I definitely would rather get to Kaysen and Joe if I can.
So it just using the model to differentiate these guys, this is essentially the same. Like, Kason Wallace is slightly better than Isaiah Joe by value, sure. But like, really the only difference here is Lou Dort at slightly lower ownership on DraftKings. It's probably the only advantage like that we can find here. But I will say Lou Dort, really good FanDuel value. So maybe if we just go straight by the model, Wiggins, Kason Wallace, Lou Dort, Isaiah Joe on DraftKings, and on FanDuel, Wiggins is at the top, Lou Dort, Isaiah Joe, Kason Wallace. It's tough. I'm kind of just mixing them up and hoping that I mix up the combos too, meaning that I don't have like all my Isaiah Joe with Aaron Wiggins and all my Lou Dort with Kason Wallace. I really want to make sure I just get all the combos I can with these guys because it's really tough.
Yep, they're all good plays too, so I agree. Just mix them up and hopefully we get the right combo.
I'll just throw out a Kenrich Williams name. With Jalen Williams out, I think he is the guy that has most potential to play more minutes. Just he's the guy who most naturally fills in the position. I know we have Usman Deng down here. Kenrich Williams does not project well in the model, so this is kind of a beyond the model spot. Projected for 17 minutes, 4 and 1% ownership. I think he's worth taking a couple percent shots on.
Yep, Good producer there with Kenrich, so I like that call.
Yeah, definitely not necessary though if you just want to not think about him today. Spurs are going to blow out Miami. I think that was like the closest spread of the day, wasn't
Yeah, I think so. I don't
it?
know about that one.
Adebayo or Mark Williams in a GPP. I'll just sort by centers. This is sorted by DK center value right now. Adebayo or Mark Williams. Mark Williams is the best pay up center according to the model. Him and like below these top three guys, Demantis, Wemby, and Jokic. Model likes Mark Williams.
Yep, I'd say Williams too, pretty clearly.
Mike Conley's in, and Anthony Edwards is out. So let's take a few minutes. We'll refresh the model. We should be able to get a good update within the next 10 minutes. But let's go to the next game or next team for now. We need to talk about the other side of this game, Sacramento. So I'm getting like percents of all these guys, but I think the only play I'm really want to make sure that I get enough of is Malik Monk. I just think that he has the like tournament winning potential of the guys on this team based on their prices and ownership, and more so on DraftKings.
Yep, like that Monk shot, especially. They're probably going to need his scoring tonight against OKC here. So love that shot there.
It's just players like Malik Monk. I don't really care what the matchup is. This is one of the toughest matchups in the NBA. Maybe that has something to do with his low ownership. And I'm not saying jam him in. Like if you have like 12%, you're over the field. But it's just his potential to put up a ceiling game is so great. And if the field's working off a median projection, like, yeah, sometimes he's not going to put up a great score, but I don't care about those days. I just care about the days he gives me that 40 plus or whatever it ends up being.
We just got big news too with Sengun. He's out.
All right. Get ready to learn Steven Adams.
Get ready.
I mean, I'm getting percents of all the guys here. I don't know if anyone particularly stands out. Like Keegan Murray always stands out in the model. A little iffy for me, but DeMar, DeFox, Demantis is a little bit lower, but good OF index score. These guys are all good plays by the model. I don't hate any of them.
Yeah, DeMar's price is still like 6,500, so I love that price point.
Yeah, DeMar kind of similar to what I was saying about Malik Monk. His bad games are going to be bad, but his good games are really good in tournament winning.
Yep.
Is he pulling ownership? 7% and 2%. Yeah, that's worth taking some shots on. Like him more on DK at the price, obviously. Rob has inside info on the Heat Spurs game, huh? What do we got? All right, share with the class. Can't just talk about it if you're not going to tell us. We got LeBron visiting NY. Anthony Davis is out for at least a week. Tragic. Cam Reddish is out. Gabe Vincent's probable. DFS probable. Rui probable. LeBron probable. I don't know if we got those guys in, but we're just going to assume that they all play. LeBron, strong OF index. The price is high. I think the ownership is reasonable. I look at him as a pure GPP play, though. I'm not very excited to get to him today.
Yeah, kind of the same way here. Obviously, prefer SGA and Jokic if you can get up to them, but LeBron should be lower owned here. 11-point spread, low owned, tough matchup or decent matchup, but yeah, I think he's fine. I don't have like a huge stand on him. Probably just going to be around the field, but yeah.
If the slate started right now, I'm exactly with the field on FanDuel, 21%. And I have 1% over on DK. It's just 10-7 is so tough. And we have other payups. Like we have half the payups in the league to get to today. So, like I said, LeBron is a GPP play. Like, remember, let's take a look at this real quick, just to compare to like I'm going to compare him to the best play of the day, SGA. But SGA, really strong value, really strong OF. LeBron's down here. He has a lower value than all the guys around him. So model's telling us we don't have to play him. But like I said, GPP. Jackson Hayes' price is up, 4,600 over on DK. I think is still pretty reasonable. We haven't projected for 26 minutes. Also a reasonable projection. Only 2 and 1% ownership. I don't hate it. He had a really, really good game last time in about 30 minutes, but I don't mind getting back to him for a few percent. And then I do like Austin Reeves today at 2 and 14% ownership. Model doesn't love it though, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, I think I would probably prefer Reeves on FanDuel, but 8,700 he should be low owned. He obviously has a huge ceiling without AD here, so I don't hate that at all.
Yeah, I'm getting more over on FanDuel. I don't even have this 14% though, so It's just tough to get there with the way the slate is looking right now. And then I think Max Christie kind of has to play big minutes tonight. Like Jared Vanderbilt played 16 last game. Maybe he can play a minute or two more, but I wouldn't give him more than 18, and that already sounds kind of high. 0 and 1%, though. Someone asked about him last time, and I kind of wrote it off, but I think he put up a really good score for this 3,300. I don't hate it. Rui probably has to be on the court a lot. It's too low owned. I don't think we have to really look at Dalton or DFS, but I would consider the rest of the team. It feels like a team we want to play more of. It's a massive spread, but there's a lot of usage to go around, and basically everyone here is cheap besides Reeves and LeBron.
Yeah, especially if we're both going to be around the field or under on LeBron. Getting to these other guys, I think, makes a ton of sense here.
Other side of this game, New York Knicks, Josh Hart Q. They're pulling a little bit of ownership. Again, I think all these guys are kind of GPP plays. Their value scores are okay. If you're considering them as pay-ups, OF indexes, nothing special. I think Jalen Brunson put up like 60-something last game, 10 and 9% owned. He's fine. All these guys are fine.
Yep. I actually really like Brunson tonight. At that ownership, I think he's a really good play. He obviously might be chasing a little bit, but I do like him tonight. And then Katz, kind of want to hear your take. I think he looks fine. I think I'd rather just get the Jokic, but if he's going to be 12%, he's got a huge ceiling. So I don't hate Cat either.
Yeah, Cat, a guy I usually try to get over the field on. I'm not over the field on either site today, though. So I have 3% on FanDuel if the slate started right now and 4% on DK. So I guess it's kind of just, I'd rather just pay up and get to a Wemby or Jokic. But Cat and Brunson, both good pivots. So, yeah, like I said, just GPV plays, I think.
Yep.
All right. Naz Reid is starting.
Oh, boy.
He was already the best play on the slate. I don't think we can really get away from him on DraftKings anyway. He's cheap, 5,500. Maybe there's a conversation for FanDuel, but Naz Reid's probably the best player.
Yep, Naz Reid's my top play as well. I think he looks awesome here.
All right, let's talk about Miami. I'm getting a pretty decent amount of Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro. Didn't realize that. Yeah, they're pulling the ownership today. Model thinks they're fine. What do you think about them?
Yeah, I think they're both fine. Bam going up against Wemby here should be fine. I mean, obviously, Wemby's a good defender, but I think Bam can be fine here. So I don't love Bam, but I think he's fine here. I do prefer Hero if I'm going between the two. I think Hero can have a big game here in this matchup. So I would slightly prefer Hero. And then are you getting to any Khalil Ware here? 11% owned. What's your kind of take here besides Bam?
I don't mind Khalil Ware. Ownership is not super low owned. It's not high, though. Keep in mind, he's going up against Wemby, so it's a tough task for anybody. I think there's enough other strong, cheap mid-range center plays, pay-up center plays that I don't think I want to take up that much exposure with Khalil Ware. With that said, the model thinks he's fine, though. Doesn't stand out. He's not like a fade either.
Yeah, I think being around the field makes sense here.
I was getting much more Harrow over on FanDuel. Yeah, I'm getting a lot more Harrow over on FanDuel versus DraftKings. Makes sense with the price, and he has the shooting guard eligibility over on FanDuel, so this is probably correct.
Yep, love Tyler, especially on FanDuel.
Any of these deeper guys? Jovic, Duncan Robinson, Terry Rozier, whose points prop is like 13.5 today. Greg told us to bet the under.
Yeah, I think they're all fine. I think my favorite would probably be Jovic, but I think Duncan could spike a ceiling here in this matchup as well. He shoots good, so I'd probably say Jovic or Duncan. How about you?
I'm not too interested in either of them, actually. I'm just going to ride with the model and bump up Haywood Highsmith a little bit at 3,300, 3%. I think he's worth a couple shots. If we play him, we're kind of banking on him to play more than 22 minutes, but the model already thinks he's okay at 22 minutes.
Yep. Love that model shot. 3% owned. Good value score.
Go to the other side of this game. San Antonio. Stephon Castle, man. It's going to be one of my favorite plays for a long time, I think. 4,900 on DraftKings, 5,500 on FanDuel. This is crazy, dude. I had like 40 or 50% of him yesterday. Granted, he went off. I'm not expecting him to do that, but I just think he's a really, really easy play to fit in at the salary. Shooting guard eligible on both sides. Him and Chris Paul, I think both fit pretty easily for me today.
Yep. Love Castle. Had a bunch yesterday. He nuked as well. Just great price point. I think his price point came down on DraftKings since yesterday. So really good play there. And then like the Chris Paul shot too. Um, he should, project pretty good here. So don't hate him. And then I'm with you on Keldon. He shot really well yesterday. I thought he was a fine value play, but if he's going to be chalky, I think I probably want to be off him today.
Yeah, and it's like 13.4 is still fine for 3,800. What I was pointing out at the beginning of the show is just that there's some value plays the model likes more. But like I have 15% Keldon on DraftKings if the slate started right now. I think that's a pretty comfortable number to be at given what we saw. Given what we saw here, sorry. Yeah, and then Wemby. We paying up for Wemby. I think he's a decent pivot off the Jokic ownership. Risky.
Yeah, definitely a riskier play, but it's still Wemby. He has a huge ceiling, regardless of the matchup. So I don't hate it as a pivot.
Yeah, this is a guy that like I mean the ceiling's like 100, so I think we just play him sometimes. Especially it's not hard to fit him in today, and with as much ownership as is going to SGA and Jokic, if Wemby's the guy and those guys don't do it, it's just really easy leverage.
You could also go SGA and Wemby instead of SGA and Jokic too.
Yeah, that's a good one. Harrison Barnes at 1%. He's still under 5K. I think he had a okay game yesterday. He didn't win a tournament for anyone, but we have a lot of value. I don't know if it's necessary to get to him today, but I'll just throw his name out there. He's on another one of these Harrison tears. He's done this before.
Yeah, I don't know if I can get to Unk Barnes here.
So that finishes up DraftKings. I don't know why FanDuel left the late game on here, but let's talk about Phoenix Portland very, very quickly. I'm just going to, it's not on the DK main. All right. Phoenix. This is so if this is FanDuel only, KD, Devin Booker, good OF, DK value, FD value, okay. On DK, this isn't going to be their showdown price, so don't worry about this at all. But KD and Devin Booker struggling.
Yeah, I think they're both fine. And this matchup, I probably would lean. Well, at their ownerships, I may lean KD here. Booker 20% owned, KD 8%. Kind of like the ownership, discount there with KD. How about you?
I haven't projected very similarly. I have a little bit more Devin Booker than KD. I imagine that's mostly just due to Devin Booker having shooting guard eligibility, though.
Yeah. Did you see KD and Gary Payton's done go at it the other night?
Yeah, man. When you was my age, you was on the bench, or was it worse than that, or is that what he said?
Yeah, it was something about being the eighth man on the bench or something.
Good for KD, man. Nick Richards is really the only guy standing out with DK value. We know he has 20 rebound upside. 1% owned on FanDuel. I don't know if we have to take the risk over there, but if you're playing like the DK showdown, I think he's probably a pretty great play on there, depending what the ownership is.
Yeah, Richards for DK. I mean, DK showdown or FanDuel. I don't hit a 1% here for sure.
Nice. I'll mention Tyus Jones, Royce O'Neal, and Ryan Dunn made the rookie sophomore game. Shout out to him, I guess.
Shout out Ryan.
Talk about Portland very quickly on FanDuel. I mean, GPP plays. Someone asked about Denny earlier. The model doesn't really love Denny, not identifying him as a play at this price, but I still think he's fine for GPP. 7,600, it's kind of gross, but he's kind of been smashing that too. Robert Williams was a late Q tag. It's weird because some games he doesn't even play, so he's not in the model right now. We don't have to worry about it. Ayton at the top end, Simons in the top end too, I guess. Mid range. Do you like anyone from here a lot?
Man, I would like to say I do, but I think Portland for me is pretty much a stay away. I like the Denny call though. 8%. He does have a big ceiling. Don't hate that call at all.
No one stands out. It's not mandatory to get to one of these guys. I mean, DeAndre Ayton actually maybe at 9.4 OF index. He's up to 7,600 on FanDuel, though. So maybe another DraftKings showdown play. And Kamara, talked about him. Minutes have been really strong, 33.4 projected. We have a lot of guys, though, so not as interested as I have been. If Scoot starts again, that's pretty interesting because we probably won't get that news till late. And I mentioned to someone last time that it's hard to play him because we had so many other good values, but he ended up being the tournament winner. So if we get new Scoot starting and you can swap onto him, that's probably a pretty good shout over on FanDuel.
Yep, good price point, or pretty good price point in FanDuel too. So yeah, I like that shot.
All right, I'm going to try to run through some questions. Let me refresh the model. Big news is Ant-Man, so let's look at Minnesota. Nice. Conley's in. Are we still playing Dillingham? Models identifying him at 22 minutes. Maybe the model's still crunching these numbers. Oh, yeah, these minutes for sure aren't right yet. But at just 22 minutes, Dillingham's one of the best values of the day on both sites. I'm pretty into it. I'm really hoping he stays around this 10% ownership. It is a little bit risky with Conley in, but there's no Dante DiVincenzo, and he's way more of a natural point guard than Nickeil Alexander-Walker. So see about that. But maybe Nickeil ends up being the pivot off Rob, but the model's telling us no. The model said just play Rob.
I think they're going to need Rob, man. He can score in a hurry, so I really like Rob.
Christian Brown is starting for the Nuggets, and for the Hornets, it's the expected starting lineup.
Perfect.
Biggest boost besides Adams starting for the Rockets, I actually think it's Tari Eason. Let's take a quick look at Houston. It's just there's a lot of things that can go right for Tari Eason today. Yeah, I mean, Amin Thompson, obviously, but it's just a little bit harder to get to him at the price. I still think he's pretty great, though. But Steven Adams, 3,800 on DK. I'm not sure why this hasn't updated for that yet. But if you're not a member of the Occupy Fantasy website, sign up. We have plans starting as low as $7 a week. It's $1 a day. It's really important to see these model updates later, so we kind of know how to handle things. Jayhawk, are you in the Discord today?
Yep, going back to back today. Gonna do my best to break this crazy slate down.
All right, I'm going to get you out of here in just a minute.
No worries.
Knicks are good. Yeah, the Knicks are good. Jaden just going to chuck now. Thanks for capitalizing that. Yes. Maybe not, though. I don't know. Who takes shots on the team? There's a lot of shots to go around, man. They're all going to be playing tonight. Like, I'm not used to having the ball this much. All right. Let's take that closer look at Minnesota. So Naz Reid, 10.1 OF index at 5,500, top value of the day. Mike Conley, very, very strong value too. So don't just get tunnel vision on Rob Dillingham. Mike Conley's a consideration too. I'd rather play Dillingham. Model's pretty close on them, so it's not a big deal. And then Luka Garza, 18.3 DK value, 15.3 FD value. Very difficult to play him on FanDuel, but I think we can swing it on DraftKings. And really like Rudy Gobert too. Really strong value.
Yep, love it. Love Gobert here as well.
So this is the spot, right? Minnesota. Just refreshed one more time. Nothing else updated, but overall top values on the slate now. Aaron Gordon, Aaron Wiggins, Naz Reid, Mike Conley, Luka Garza, Keson Wallace. A lot of Minnesota, no KC. A lot of Minnesota, no KC. Jared Vanderbilt, the model's into 0% owned. I think we can consider it, even though he's projected for pretty low minutes.
Yep. Model improved play there.
And then the model's still updating on Houston. Come back in a few minutes or join the Discord. Instructions are in the description below to hear what Jayhawk has to say. But like the plays I was talking about earlier that I want to identify from the model, Naz Reid, obvious one. Jalen Green, double-digit OF index. Fred VanVleet, double-digit OF index. Michael Porter, almost double digits. Rudy Gobert, Miles Turner, Jaden McDaniels, SGA, Amin Thompson, Dyson Dan. It's not on the main slate. But I just think that's the way that we want to do it. It doesn't look as strong today as it did yesterday, but even like Malik Monk is here too. Jamal Murray's still here. I think these are the tournament plays, everyone that I just said, that stands out like that. So, all right, let's do a super quick dummy, Jayhawk. Just rattle off some names.
Let's go. Do we want to go Dillingham or Conley? Probably one of those two, maybe.
Let's try Dillingham.
Good.
Dillingham, SGA.
Yep, SGA. Do you want to go Jokic or Wemby? Should we try to go both?
We're going to try to go Jokic. I think we're going to try to do Garza in there. Again, refresh the model in a few minutes. It might still be updating. He might be showing as a better value than he actually is. And then I want to look at these Spurs guys. Stephon Castle, 4,900. It's just, I think he's such a good play at 4,900.
We didn't get Naz Reid in there, did we?
No, we have to get Naz Reid. Yeah, the best play on the slate. Nice.
And then OKC value, is that too chalky?
No.
Maybe either Lou Dort or Aaron Wiggins.
Let's do Aaron Wiggins since he's at the top and he's the cheapest. That leaves us 6,400 for forward, and we didn't even like super cheap out. I mean, we have two guys in the 3K range. I guess three guys in the 3K, so we did cheap out. Never mind. But you can fit in SGA and Jokic without the rest of your lineup being disgusting, and I don't know that we're super interested in any of these guys at this price range. So maybe swap something around, or I don't know, take Jokic out. We'll put in Gobert.
Yep, like that.
12,600. Don't even have to play Luka Garza. You can just plug in Jokic and 3,700.
Vanderbilt.
Yeah, Vanderbilt 33.
Perfect.
Leaves a couple hundred, but yeah, something like that. I think that's the main thing. Build around the value. Stars and scrubs type day.
Yep, for sure.
Combined 400% ownership. Well, that's why you mix in. This is like the what have we been calling? This guy's got me all flustered now.
The core.
Yeah, something like that, just to give you guys an idea. I mean, you probably don't want to enter that lineup in a large field, but for like small field stuff, if your lineup looks similar to that, it's probably a strong lineup by the model.
Just playing the best plays, man. Just mix in a couple low-end plays. Be good.
Yeah. Garza. Yeah, Garza is one of the top plays, one of the top values on the model. Do a quick refresh before we get out of here. But yeah, I get it. But this guy crushes in low minutes. So it did update slightly, still near the top, projected for low ownership. This isn't a spot you jam in. Like if you're playing 150, you don't play him in half your lineups. But, if you have maybe 15%, double the field, that's a lot. So Jayhawk will be in the Discord. You guys want to join that? We'd appreciate you. Good luck. I'll see you tomorrow.